Peter Dutton called the GenCost report discredited, not relied on, and not a genuine piece of work. What do you say to that?
The GenCost report is a report that's been done over a number of years. It is a well thought through piece of work. It is reliable. It responds to new data, as good science should do, and responds to feedback. So I think it's a highly credible report that the community can rely on.
One point Mr Dutton specifically made was that the GenCost report, he said, doesn't take into account some transmission costs and also costs around subsidies for renewables. Does the research take that into account?
Yeah, the research does take those things into account, and it refines what it says each year when it's put out in response to exactly these sort of questions. So that's the sort of feedback we really welcome. And the goal of science is to respond to that feedback, and that's what the GenCost report has done over a number of years.
Is the experience with nuclear power in other countries in line with the findings of this CSIRO report?
Yeah, the costings for the small modular reactors were based on the most practical example of trying to build those, a project that was actually ended last year. So we think that the costings are the best possible ones available. And again, that's what we should use when we make these projections about the cost of different energy sources into the future.
And what experiences overseas have you specifically drawn on?
There's a project that has gone ahead in North America in the last few years, and that project was ended before the reactors were turned on.
It's not often that the CSIRO would come out to make such a public defence of their reports, particularly when the debate is political. Why did you think it was important to speak out in this case?
I think the criticism crossed the line between good scientific discussion or good questioning of the science. And I think when you speak about a report being discredited and an organisation being unreliable, I think what that does is corrodes the public's trust in science. And, you know, the world and Australian community are facing some really profound challenges. You know, we saw that through COVID-19. We know that the challenge to get to net zero by 2050 is huge. Keeping Australian industry productive and sustainable is a big challenge, and science plays a really important role in us navigating those challenges. And I think when comments are made that corrode trust in science generally, then the community is not well served.
Peter Dutton said that he was criticising the report and not the CSIRO itself. You were saying earlier that you welcome feedback and that reports should be able to respond to feedback. Is there room for political leaders to criticise reports from the CSIRO?
Absolutely. So, you know, well-founded criticism I think is very useful, but that doesn't include throwing around words like discredited and unreliable to an organisation and the scientists that are creating the reports. I think that criticism is playing the people, playing the organisation, and I just don't think it's founded.
Have you heard directly from Peter Dutton or spoken to him at all?
No.
Would you like to?
That would be something I would check with my minister. That's the protocol for every government, and I would, of course, be delighted to do that.